Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call, the Star Citizen podcast where we open the calls to you guys, I guess, essentially. But we decided that, well, we didn't decide, just kind of how the show is morphed, is we kind of talk about news at the beginning, and then we go into sort of like the topic that we want you guys to talk about, which is down below. Are you still excited for 323? Obviously, some pretty horrible, but I thought obvious, at least. Croncy didn't. Things that were going to happen. That cargo was obviously removed from 323. So are we still excited for it? Are you not? That's kind of the topic for the calls, but obviously you could talk about anything this week as well. But if you don't know what Answer the Call is, again, it is a call-in show, Star Citizen themed. We have a YouTube channel. We stream it on Twitch, and everybody calls in through Discord. If you guys are watching on YouTube, get subscribed, please, because it is a new channel that we just made. And if you guys want to go above and beyond and support myself and Croncy and what we're doing here with the podcast, you have the option to join as a member. So with that said, welcome everybody. It's not a great week, obviously. This was not a good thing that happened. But
no.
It's going to be
some
awesome.
Good came out of it.
Because some really good stuff came out of it. So, are you ready to see the character? So, for people who don't know, myself and Croncy made a bet. I said that cargo would be removed. He said it would not. And we bet that we have to create a character for each other, depending on who won the bet. I won the bet. Croncy's character is named Concierge. Okay?
Love it.
Because
great name.
It's very gold. So this is your character.
Oh, that's so much worse than what I saw.
So it is the same character, but I changed the beard because I wanted to make sure that we saw the chin, because the chin being very, very insular was very important to me. Like barely the lack of chin. That was kind of to make the extended mouth as much as possible. So that's what I was going for. And then gradually over time, I think we changed the hair to have a white ponytail as well.
I'm
so this
so
is your
impressed.
Character. I spent a good amount of time on this. I gotta say,
I was fully expecting. So yeah, I'd seen like the thumbnail for today's video, like just moments before the pod, and I just did glance at it. This is so much worse.
Yeah, because I felt the beard was like pretty crazy, but I wanted to make sure that the facial features were all visible, along with the like mustache that says you can't be within 500 feet of a school zone. So that's what we're going for here for you. So again, Croncy has to use this character throughout the entire 323 cycle, not just 323-0. And we will do future bets like this in the future for other things, and I'm sure I'll lose a bet at some point as well, and Croncy will create his own abomination. But this was mine. Honestly, the character is not too bad. I don't know if we end up, like, I went through some iterations, but that was your character, essentially.
I love the gold, like, cheek makeup with the pink lip, with the green lipstick.
Yeah.
Is just such a great combination.
It's a little gold. Like, that's kind of, and that's why it's Concierge, because you're gold.
Yeah,
So that's what we were going for there. So congratulations. This is you for the next few months.
I cannot wait. I'll deliberately try to use as... Oh, I didn't do it! I didn't do it!
No. I have a button now. I literally have a button, and I still did it. But I was so obsessed with... I got so hyped for this.
This is too much fun, yeah. I cannot wait to use that character. I'm going to try to deliberately use as many helmets that actually have, like the visors.
Thoughts. Now, this is just a... like, do the best you can. But I think if we're going to do these bets, when you're at a landing zone, you should have to remove your helmet. It just gets a little dicey because you might die because of it, and it might be really annoying. So we can rescind that rule of it. But I wanted to see if you felt the same. But I think we should try to keep our helmets off to disgust people as much as possible.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable. But yeah, so the reason why I have to do that for the next however many months, the biggest news of the week was the roadmap roundup and then the SCL about cargo.
Yeah. So, I think people kind of expect me to be super pissed off about it, and I am mega disappointed and sad.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
I'm not like gonna lose my mind about it.
Yeah.
At all.
We've talked about this the last couple of weeks. This was, at least for you, this was like the major feature of the patch.
Yeah.
So it's obviously rough for that to get removed. Seeing the stability of the patch has that's been since it's come out. I imagine it would have been significantly worse if we did have this stuff. So that does lean towards the like, all right, yeah, fair, take it out.
Yeah.
I will say it was nice to hear on SCL, but whether it's true or not, it's only a few extra weeks behind, as in like.
Do you believe it? I mean, you might. You want to
I
make
kind of do.
I kind of do. And I kind of don't. It's a weird one because they go like we're so close, but then they also express how. Oh God, of course the video's being weird. It shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But they also express the idea of everything being really technically technologically challenging. So it's like, is it super close or is it not? Is like one of the things that I'm like,
It's one of those sort of things where at least the way they're talking about it makes me think if Invictus did not exist, this would be in the patch and the patch would just arrive a month later.
Yes, exactly.
That's kind of how they're talking about it, right? So yeah. That's why I think it is still probably close. We're not going to see it till after Invictus, I imagine. But yeah.
Yeah, it bums me out that that's the case, and I understand. I think we all understand it, and I think the one thing, sadly, as a Star Citizen backer, we have to accept is that Invictus and IAE are the way they are, and they're never going to change. So you kind of have to accept that this is how it is. The problem is now there's a sale every month, and it feels like that this is happening more often than it should in terms of this has to go live because of something that has nothing to do with the players that want to play the game or nothing to do with the game getting better in the sense of development wise. Obviously, the game gets better with more money. I'm not an idiot or as dumb as you guys think I might be, but it still bothers me to no end that this patch would just get delayed. So I'm essentially like, I don't know how you're going to go about it. I am essentially, I think at least, depending on the next week or so, what happens with the PTU, I'm essentially going to delay the patch for myself. I don't know how much of 323 PT or 323 PU I will be playing. I'm definitely going to do Gravlev. I'm definitely going to play Gun Rush, and I'm definitely going to be playing Engineering, as that's what I was doing leading up to today's podcast. But I don't know how much time I'm going to spend in the PU because I don't find anything that they've put in that interesting. Distribution centers are big, but again, we talked about that last week. I don't find them to be super exciting. So, like, what do you see yourself doing in 323 if you're going to play it a lot?
So yeah, we did talk about last week how I was really keen on the new distribution centers because they were new locations. It is more than that. It is more than that right now, and I got to experience that once today.
Okay.
And then unfortunately had server errors for the rest of the day. So yeah. couldn't do more of it. They have
I heard it was very rough today.
Yeah. Lots of server errors, but like everything else worked. Like I didn't have any other bugs, which was nice. So it's like, all right, cool. Now that
when a server is constantly restarting, it's usually fresh and things work okay.
Exactly. But yeah, so I went down to a distribution center because I noticed that the economy team, they've been doing their changes and missions prices have changed and all that sort of stuff. And I noticed that there were some FPS bounties at the distribution centers that were like 125k for one mission, right? Went down to do one of those. They are so much more fun, and it was. I'm gonna do that. Like that's my 323. I'm just gonna spam reputation doing FPS missions at distro centers.
What about them made it fun?
So the location obviously gives it like more challenges in terms of where you actually need to approach from. Like we were so used to just doing bunkers,
and them like
exactly.
Yeah. So just not knowing the location helps, right?
Yep, that helps a lot. The AI were amazing. But that happens almost every PTU. So whether that goes to live as well, is a different story.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, with the server recoveries, that does happen.
Yeah.
The actual like FPS mechanics felt nice, like all of the touch ups that happened with this patch, the FPS rework that happened this patch felt nice, just in a general like go down, do a mission sort of thing. It felt quick to use the new loot mechanics.
Oh, can I jump in for a second with the loot mechanics?
Go.
Did you notice the when, like, let's say for med pens or ammo or grenades? I don't know how many things this applies to, but yesterday I looted down characters and the med pens auto stack.
Oh, really?
The grenades auto stack. So all you do now is you left click from their inventory to yours. So they'll go into your belt slot first. So you get your let's say you had 0 med pens. You click 4. Now I have 4 in my belt slot. After that, it goes 1 med pen, 2 med pen, 3, and they literally stack together. It's not individual, and then you have to go back in and stack them. It was awesome. Now, you cannot split in the new loot menu. So it's like, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
So sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to make sure
that's
while we were on loot,
that's a big deal.
Big
A really nice quality of life thing for sure.
Yeah.
The NPCs have a much wider variety of armor and weapons now too, at least at the distro centers. So it's not just all it's not just all Ninetales or Dusters. There's a lot more stuff to it, so I love that a lot as well. The friendly in one of the missions, the friendly NPCs actually did stuff. Cool. Like the friendly NPCs were flanking themselves and all that sort of stuff. So it made those lower paying missions make a lot more sense. And it's just it's a lot kind of like what I was saying last week. It's a lot cooler of an area. The level design in the area has had a lot more thought into it than the bunkers did, and so there's a lot more like different places to do cover, a lot more different ways to approach certain areas, that sort of thing.
Is the armistice actually getting to do that?
Sometimes.
Okay.
At least for me, sometimes.
Okay.
I don't know if it's I don't know where I was going, but it was just a lot of fun. The fact that it was working, it was like the first time I got to do an FPS mission there and it was working and I didn't fall through the ground or anything like that. And it felt so damn good. And so that's like that's going to be enough for me for a couple of months when I just like spam reputation at each of the new, like assuming that, because I didn't actually check reputation, assuming that you get reputation for Securison and stuff. I'll have to check back through my VODs or whatever. But even then, even just getting up like Microtech or Hurston, that'll keep me done for a while. Hopefully until Freight Elevators come out, because then that's the next new hotness to go through. So there's definitely that there for me. And then everything that you just said about Arena Commander, the same. Like I'm also super keen for all that stuff. So
like today we did a bunch of testing testing, not like too much playing the engineering stuff and just trying to figure out what's going on with it. It is not where it needs to be. There is a lot of issues that we're coming across, but it was a significantly better experience today. The A2, it's an atmospheric ship. It literally is. Where do you drop bombs? You drop them in atmosphere. When we were in atmospheric map, we absolutely destroyed the Gladiuses. It wasn't even close. And in space, they absolutely destroyed us. It wasn't even close. But they have, I don't believe, in my opinion, that they've hit their goals for the health of the A2. It is still blowing up within about a minute and a half to 2 minutes if you're full on. And we had a full lobby, 12 players, 6-on-6. So it wasn't any like imbalance, like the intended experience we were playing. And it was not good for the A2 in most of the scenarios because, again, there's I think 2 atmospheric maps and most of the time they're broken. So it's getting there. We definitely experienced component damage. Like, so what was starting to happen towards the end is it would start snowballing. Dude, all the stuff is turning off. All the fuses are turning off. Things are going crazy. And you're like, oh my God, panic. And then the ship blows up, like before you can try to recover from it. So we're not quite there yet, but I find it to be incredibly fun.
In particular, we're not going to be there until it comes out of experimental mode. That's the point, right? Is to be able to through the entire PU make tons of changes if they want.
Yeah, and I think because of that, with what you just said, I do want to touch on something with the way the community has been around 323, and a lot of people
Hmm.
don't seem excited for some of the things like sniper glints, like master modes, and the
Yeah.
engineering mode. Everybody is the sky is falling. This is the worst thing ever. First, I see a lot of players who don't seem like gamers in the Star Citizen community, right? Like they just don't give me like not a hardcore gamer vibe, but just like not even gamer, like to wanting to play a game. The things that
Sure.
they say, it just is like I'm not really sure what you're looking for out of Star Citizen. If you like the social aspects, I get it. Obviously,
Hmm.
the community is awesome, so you can still have those things, right? But it does need to be a game at some point.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the engineering mode, I see a lot of people talking, and I don't think that they've truly gotten the experience to play it. There's tons of issues in Arena Commander. If you
Yeah.
solo queue, you're not joining a full game. You're just solo queuing by yourself. Like you can't get a game unless you make a game. So
Hmm.
unfortunately, streamers are maybe some of the only people that have experienced it properly so far. And in my experience, they've gradually got it to a better place. Master modes,
Yeah.
I don't have much I could say on that. I haven't tried it too much. And the sniper stuff, it's been a little bit more difficult because we don't really have a good sniper map in Arena Commander at the moment. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. And
Hmm.
I don't think we should be very the sky is falling until you're experiencing it in a live build, like I don't know, sniper
Yeah.
glint at Jump Town, master modes when
Hmm.
chasing a bounty, and engineering, way later on.
Yeah.
I think I'm very happy with the intentions of things. So why are we
Yeah.
upset? I have no idea,
We're upset because we're Star Citizens, Mac.
I mean, you're not upset. You don't seem upset.
I'm never upset.
Exactly.
I did want to add one more thing just quickly onto the distribution center missions that I was talking about.
Please.
The 125K mission that you get, which obviously like that. Hey, I actually want to do that. That's good money.
Yep.
Is like a new style of mercenary mission. It seems
Okay.
where it's still essentially eliminate all, but it's like 3 different locations at the distribution center.
Yeah,
So you've got to eliminate all from one section, move to another, and so on.
I took that mission, and when I got there, I had a replication layer thing, and
Yeah, yeah.
then the mission
And
was
then lost the
kind of
mission.
there for me, but not there.
Okay.
It was weird. The mission was
Yeah, yeah.
happening without me.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I could
Yeah.
see the NPCs fighting each other, and I was
Hmm.
like drawing out the enemy for the friendly NPCs to kill them, and then I was just looting them. But I did not
Yep.
have any. I had markers, but when I went to the locations, they didn't update, right? Because I'm assuming when you go to the cargo area, it updates and then tells you what to do next. Was that your experience?
Yeah, it comes up with your hostels. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I didn't have I never got the update to the hostels or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah. So there's a lot of things that are happening. Like somebody asked me today, what would you number the patch 1 out of 10? And I said 3.5. And that doesn't mean that the patch is bad. It just depends on the way you're looking at it. I wanted something.
Is that a scale of like 1 to 10 with like the best Star Citizen patch versus the worst Star Citizen patch, or like?
I don't know. I put it at 3.5 because all of the things I was looking forward to are not there.
Right.
Right. And then if you ask me from a quality of life perspective, it would be like an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So like
Yeah.
it's not that the patch is the worst thing ever. It's just it's not what they said it was going to be. Right. And
Yep.
it's like, that obviously can always happen, but it still bummed out about it. So I don't
Yep.
know.
The big silver lining from that roadmap, while it was the most annoying feature to be removed, like probably the most hyped feature to be removed,
Yeah.
other than the map, but in terms of like new content, um, pretty much every other feature got committed.
Yep.
The Vulcan and water got added because like that only went on like this week.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of wild because we reverse back to like December last year. We were talking about what's actually, or January this year, whenever it was, what's actually going to make it into the patch. And it's like, oh, they'll probably lose half the things minimum, and it'll still be a decent patch. We didn't lose half the things. We lost one big feature. Big feature, to be fair.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And I don't think any of us expected us to lose all of them. Like, I thought we might lose freight elevators, but not lose cargo. But when you really think about it, they're all so interconnected, they have to come together.
Yeah, it's essentially the same feature. It's just like
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how game dev
yeah.
works, but it seems like they have to come together. Otherwise, I don't see how we don't get the missions. You know, because obviously you need the missions because freight elevators are connected to them. So then you're just kind of stuck because you would have to redo all the missions without freight elevators. That would be crazy.
Well, that's probably
And
the thing. Is
stupid.
like you could have freight elevators without the missions.
Yeah,
Couldn't have the missions without freight elevators. So like that could have happened, right? It was a core feature, I guess.
yeah,
That then because of that got rid of that other stuff.
yeah. But I guess
the fact that we're still getting all these other things is wild to me. I thought we would have lost way more.
I think so much of it was like UI. Like, dude, I like.
It's pretty much everything Squadron got in, plus
yeah.
some other stuff.
Yeah, because it's all UI stuff. It's not as. I don't think it's maybe again not a game developer, but it doesn't seem as difficult to do and as many edge cases as something like this, right?
Yeah.
So,
I would hope it wouldn't be because that was kind of like one of the kind of like don't want to use the word promise. One of the like sort of things that they mentioned when they were like, we're going to focus on Squadron is, this stuff will be easier to get into the PU. Well, cool. It looks like it has been awesome. Sweet. So that's at least a good thing. Will it happen with the rest of the stuff? We'll see.
I gotta say, big disappointment. Still so many quantum bugs, but the map feels good now. Map's pretty cool.
Yep. They also added extra maps this week as well. So all the distribution centers now have maps, which is great because that's the one place we don't know where things are yet.
What's the? I think Drewval's still here in Twitch chat. What's the keybind to swap the maps again? Does anybody in chat know? It's actually really cool if you haven't done. Yeah, if you don't know this, it's actually sick. I have a video for it. I'll try to bring it up. Shift E or Q. Okay. Yeah. Give me 1 second. It's going to take me a minute to find it, but I will. I think it was Friday. Here we go. Check this out. I'm pressing Shift E and going through all the Lorville maps.
Oh, okay, yeah,
that's where I am.
I like that. Yeah.
So that's like a cool little feature. So at a distribution center, it's going to give you the levels.
Well,
potentially.
Oh yeah, I guess it would so it's essentially the same thing that happens on ships, except it's going between. Because you can just do like E and Q to go your levels of your ships.
Oh, so when you're in your ship, you just press E.
E or Q, yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So
it by default, I think, shows everything, and then it'll like highlight the levels.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, Shift does a little something different. Then I just found that to be super cool while at Lorville. I was like, oh, cool. And then I think long term, I can be like, all right, well, I want to route myself to the central business district, and then it'll route you there, which is pretty sick.
Routing is still very buggy, unfortunately.
Yeah,
it's really hard to. It's neither, but once again, we know the locations of most things. It doesn't seem to work at the distribution centers, as far as I can tell. Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully that happens. Because that's where you're going to use it the most. If you're not a new player, that's where you're going to use it most, I would imagine.
I don't know. I'm just looking at the roadmap still. I don't know how everybody's still getting excited about animals and shit. I'm so over that at this point.
I got a little more keen on them when they started working properly and they started spawning. So I'm not as necessarily disappointed as I was last time.
I'm just not going to be farming them yet,
Yeah, pretty much. Although I will say, and maybe this is a good leeway onto SEL, because this is the delayed SEL that we were waiting on to hear lots of answers about. The person who asked, "Can you keep animals in your hangar?" You can. So let's start some zoos in our persistent hangars.
It'll be your own little defense. I guess.
That's the thing we were talking about. We were like, there's going to be so many issues with like, at least people are going to be concerned about security, blah blah blah. Just make your own security. Just make your own
Except
little Copian like
kills you.
They would never. But yeah, SEL was finally back. It was what 3 weeks ago. It was supposed to be. It
Mhm.
got delayed, and then it was like Easter break or something. Um, and so yeah, it happened, and Chad got very emotional at the start of the show, and I can understand why. It's it sucks to have to make the decision to be like, yeah, this feature that I'm really keen on isn't going to make it for you guys.
But like,
Um,
what do people
yeah.
like? It really comes down to this for me, and I get actually blamed for this, but I've never really been this way. Is
Hmm.
you can't have it both ways, right? So you can't have things come sooner a lot of the times and be good. Like it
Yeah.
sounds like this doesn't like it doesn't sound like it's just edge cases. Like at the very beginning, he also explained it like it sounds like it just doesn't work in some cases. Like, and there's things they have to work through. It doesn't just
Yeah. Yeah.
sound like an edge case. It sounds like there's actual problems here.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that those problems can't be resolved in a little bit of time, but it does sound
Yeah.
like there are some serious issues going on with these. So they had to make the decision to take them out. So, like, what do you want? You know what I mean? Like, do you want
Yeah.
them to just put these in and just have it be a horrible experience and ruin whatever experience you can get out of 323? I don't think that's their goal, right?
No,
So
of course not. And I will say, I think from well, at least a lot of what I heard from the community was very much like, I would rather them not put in an insanely buggy feature that's not going
yeah,
to work. So, yeah, like I think it's totally reasonable, and yeah. But the big thing was like we got some questions answered. One of the
yep,
big ones that was really exciting was like was really important, not exciting. Was about like, all right, cool. So I've got my hanger. The biggest shape I own is a Carrack. I've got the hanger that's a Carrack size. What happens if I now buy a Javelin or whatever? You know what I mean? Um, and that got answered right now, nothing. Which cool, that makes sense. But the sort of extra thing added on to that is like in the future you'll be able to rent and buy larger hangers in game. And the word fees was used, which got me really excited because then we
yep.
get actual like tangible money sinks and reasons to spend them. So I was very, very happy about that.
Yes, for sure. And the other like bit of wording that I really sunk my teeth into or really grasped onto is kept saying routes. So like when he was talking about
Yeah.
trades and trading and maybe cargo missions, that there's routes,
Hmm.
and I'm like holding on like by a thread of are they actually trying to like because we've seen with mining, obviously we follow that pretty closely that
Hmm.
they definitely built mining out with crafting in mind to some
Yeah.
extent, right?
Yeah.
And I am holding on. This is my copium level. You know, this is my copium thing for 323. Is are they building out the mining or not mining cargo hauling missions with the dynamic economy in mind? Of like, okay, this location does this thing,
Hmm.
therefore the routes that you will get are from this location to maybe the distribution center or whatever. Like you have a resource extraction location, then you have a factory location, then you have
Hmm.
the distribution center location, and then you have the sale point or whatever, right? Like the city or something.
Yeah.
And like is that an actual thing that they're thinking about? I hope, because that would be fucking sick.
How
Like
how long? Like they've been working on freight elevators forever. Do we know how long they've been working on cargo missions?
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
At least I don't look at the progress tracker. I think it's the dumbest
Okay.
thing on the planet. So
If they Because if they did start to do it after the economy team came into everything, then like my assumption would be
maybe,
yeah,
yeah,
right? Because especially like we talked a little bit about monthly report last week. Um, the economy team is like actively making lists and stuff of like what the economy is going to like what they want the economy to look like
yeah.
in a like theoretical finish or whatever. So probably,
He could just
probably,
mean that the current routes that we make up now, though. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
the
for sure.
obvious ones that are on the websites or like the ones that just make the most sense. I
Yeah,
hope
like
not.
even just like law sensical routes.
Well, I guess that's
You
kind
know.
of what I mean is I'm looking for lore sense routes. Like right now, I'm not
Sure.
sure. I think most people would agree that like what a space station is buying versus what a city is buying versus what these things are. It's not
Yeah.
really making a whole lot of sense. So at the very least, we have suspenders guy and the other dude. Like, hopefully, they're doing things that just like make some sense. You know.
Yeah.
And that's what I guess that's more what I'm going for there than, but I also like it's okay for the routes to be static. And that's is
Sure.
what I mean, right? Like I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't know what other people think, but
It'll likely always be some version of static, but like
yeah.
there'll always be like little variations, I imagine. Like as an example, I think Pyro is probably always going to be a place to buy, salvaged goods for whether they have been legally acquired or not. But where in Pyro you acquire those from may change from time to time, but you're still probably going to want to take it from Pyro to Terra or whatever.
Yeah. I just I don't know. I have my bit of copium there. You might have to take over for a second because I'm choking.
Oh, good. They talked a little bit about other homes. Once again, not for 323.x release, but you will be able to get space station homes. Which originally I was like, I don't know why you ever would want to. And then someone pointed out to me,
living at a refinery,
because I was like,
baby.
I want access. Well, I was like, I want access to all the best shops, and I want to work at those refineries and stuff. But someone pointed out, yeah, but you could live at like a jump point.
Yeah,
I was like, that'd be kind of sick to wake up every morning to like watch, 20 ships flying in towards the jump point as I like go get my ships ready and stuff.
yeah.
So I'm glad that that's a thing for sure.
Do you know what I hope they do?
Yeah.
Is you know how you wake up on, let's say, Crusader and you look out the window?
Mm-hmm.
We don't really have that at the stations yet, but you obviously have that lobby area where you're looking down onto a planet. That could in itself be a reason to live at a space station, right? It's just the view.
Yeah.
So like those are things that are important, at least important to me. I know my base, wherever my home base will be, whenever I make it, it will be in a beautiful place. That is my home, where my, org or wherever we're crafting and stuff, that will be in the logical min-maxy place. But my home is going to be on a river, overlook, like that kind of shit, I definitely want that. And some people, like Shimpasta and Twitch Chat says, will live at Grimhex. Yeah. And that's sort of what I look forward to. I'm trying to think of what else we got out of the... I can kind of look on my phone because I have...
Out of SEL?
Yeah, like other things to touch on, because it was obviously very good, but for whatever reason we've said two things and I feel like we're done, and I know we're not.
It's some of the bigger things, right? So
yeah.
There was talk about group play in regards to the freight elevators, and some stuff was clarified there. I don't remember if they said it will be in for the initial implementation or not, but you will be able to like access your friend's cargo at some point.
Yeah, or maybe not. Like, it was weird. They were like, we don't want you to be able to access their inventory, but that was just an inventory discussion, but cargo will be okay.
Yeah. So there'll be some sort of interaction there. Obviously, it was also like not necessarily you directly access them, but like if I go into your hangar, Mike, I can grab stuff in your freight elevator from my inventory. Yep. So there's a lot easier organization in that aspect, which is great for org gameplay and stuff. So sweet, awesome.
Yeah, hopefully unlocks like the ability to start actually making org gameplay instead of us faking it with parties and so on. So that would be sick. I got really hyped about that. I guess the one thing that people kind of were like, what the hell, was you will be able to see every member of your party's personal hangar because you'll be able to go to it.
Yeah.
But I think what people didn't realize is that, well, everybody's going to have a home at a different location, and you will only see them if you're at that location. Like, obviously, you're not going to see my Crusader personal hangar if we're at Everus Harbor or something. So
and they clarified that in the SEL. So obviously people were a little concerned, but there is like I did hear some like concerns from my community about like security in that aspect. It's like, well, what if I party up with someone who's a ne'er-do-well? It's like, I don't really think that that's on CIG necessarily, but they've talked before about access and getting managing of access. But I just don't think we're going to get that for a very long time. So right now, just team up with people you trust. I hope.
Yeah, be careful.
Yeah.
Be very careful. If you like party with somebody and they're just not hanging out with you and they're near your home planet,
Yeah, immediate kick.
yeah, just kick them.
Oh no, I'm
Just
in
kick 'em.
mine. Sure you are.
Yeah. One like random thing that was kind of surprising is with the cargo is going to come furniture. That was so
Yeah.
surprising. That caught me off guard completely.
Maybe we'll actually get from the ISE. We'll actually
The
get that
couch.
little chair that the guys. Yeah.
Yeah. He literally said couches and stuff.
Yeah. It
So it
makes
was
sense
like,
because
oh,
it's presumably going to be the exact same system that we're going to use for um making our
apartments, whatever,
apartments. Yeah.
spaces.
So I don't know where the hell in a hangar you're going to want to put a couch
Well, they have those little
or
side
a yeah.
rooms. My
True. Yeah.
my hope is like the hangars that we currently interact with have a
Mhm.
lot of art that you can't interact with. My hope
Yeah.
is that ours are empty. Empty. And we design them ourselves. So we have these side
Yeah.
rooms and those side rooms become what we want them to be.
Yeah.
Outside
So
of
like
maybe
none
the
of that
medical
like
one.
random like useless cargo
Yep.
section or like yeah.
That's where you
Okay.
put your vehicle,
Yeah.
right? Or that's where you put the cargo that you're gonna,
Yeah.
waiting for a ship to come down to collect.
Mhm.
You like preset it, right? A corpse
Yep.
room, as somebody says in Twitch chat. Okay, you're
There
weird, but
was
sure.
another thing that was in generally just kind of important, I think, which is just that the other hangers, like the non-personal hangers, are still persistent, but they'll
Yes,
wipe when you leave. That's great. Hell yeah, that's fantastic because
cool.
it means that I can, land a Bajini at the end of a day. Don't have to go all the way home. We can offload the ship if necessary.
Use the freight
Log off.
elevator, yeah, and
Come
then
back in the
log
next
off.
day. Sweet. We not even use the freight elevator. The specific things they said is like if you if you like log off at Bajini as example, because he kept what did he keep calling it? Bayesian
Bayesian
or
point,
something?
yeah, and
Bayesian.
everybody was getting so mad. It was so funny, and Jared was like, "Shut up."
But yeah, the example was like if you go to Bayesian Point, and you log out of Bayesian Point, whatever is in your hangar, like in that hangar at Bayesian Point, will persist there to your next play session.
Yeah.
It'll only get wiped once you leave.
Yep.
No ideas to like when it counts as you leaving or anything like that, but
Mm-hmm.
that's still fantastic. It means you can do a lot more stuff with some of the other hangars, even if you don't own them. So yeah, very happy with that.
For real. And yeah, I'm still looking through my list of other things. Auto loading won't be available at the like outposts and stuff. That was something that they talked about. I think I know what you're jumping into. The idea that every location works in specific size boxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did a 2-hour react to this video because of that specific thing said.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know your thoughts, and I won't take too long on it because yeah,
it is fine if they do things like here like you still want to go even if you got hella money and like you've actually got large ships or whatever. I think that's still fine if there are reasons to go there for those people still. So like
who are
let's
those
say
people?
there's a commodity.
The small ships, right?
Well,
Or
like obviously small ships will go there because it's easy for them to get cargo,
okay.
right? Like the players with the small ships with less money as well.
Mm-hmm.
I still want there to be a reason for people to go there with small ships with lots of money, because and all you really have to do is have a thing like, let's say you've got commodity A and it costs 20 UEC per SCU, and you're gonna make one UEC per box, whatever. You buy 10 boxes, cool. You can just do the exact same thing, but you make it this costs 20,000 per SCU, but I'm gonna make 500 UEC or 1,000 UEC per box of that, right? So you can just make pricier commodities that are in smaller amounts at those locations still. And then there's reasons to use smaller vehicles for people that have lots of money. The other reason I think it's okay, we have distribution centers now. So there's still reasons to bring large ships to like ground stations like that to do cargo. So it's not like they necessarily lose anything in that aspect at least.
I think hear me out. I got really concerned by this actually, because I think the goal here and what they think in their mind is that this system will create a way for people to use smaller ships. I think a lot of people have smaller cargo ships and larger cargo ships, and they want reasons for both, right? I think you stated that very clearly as well. What I see this becoming is you're still flying around in a C2, obviously not a whole C, but let's say C2, biggest cargo ship that doesn't dock, and you will be going to all the smaller locations, picking up a bunch of different routes. And let me tell this actually sounds super fun, which is the problem, is that I take a C2, I take 5 or 6 different cargo missions, and I use the smaller cargo, put it in my C2, and go. I don't know what it's going to take. In their mind and things that they've always said was time and maintenance.
Yeah.
Neither of the time doesn't seem like it will be a factor, but maintenance could be. It just isn't at the moment. So I don't think this solves the problem of it might just be my problem, Croncy, but it doesn't sound like it is. I think everybody that has a freelancer and watched the freelancer video wants that experience, right? I want to use a hull A. I want to use a Cutlass as a cargo ship. There's these ships that don't make any sense at the moment without them making sense as a cargo ship in the game's experience, right? And maybe the hull A is just for offloading caterpillars or something one day. And I got into a huge argument with my Twitch chat a little bit around distribution centers not making sense either. Because
why's that?
Well, people are taking real life scenarios and using it. Like a distribution center exists in the real world, therefore they make sense to exist in Star Citizen world. I think the distribution center is Everus Harbor. It is because, and the reason why is because you are one jump away from 30 locations. A distribution center is the last mile location in many ways, right? Now, you can argue that, like in the United States, Tennessee is a huge hub because it's kind of central from the west to the east. It's kind of right in the middle. So a lot of packages go from all over the country to Tennessee and then to us, like in the East Coast, let's say. That could be what a distribution center is. But again, it's only one jump away, so it's not this like crazy experience. And I always wanted there to be a huge hull C goes to Everus Harbor. Small ships take 100 SEU of that huge hull down to the surface. You know.
See, the thing is, everything you said is right. And like, yes, Everus Harbor is in law. It is an actual, by definition, distribution center for them to bring things down to the surface. The issue is literally just in the names of these new bunkers being distribution centers, because in law they're not.
They're like factories. Exactly.
So yeah, that's I think a non-issue for the most part, and it should be exactly like what you said. The one thing I'll mention is that the hulls, not the hull C, sorry, the
C2.
C2 is a little bit of a weird ship.
It's too
when
good.
You're thinking about all these things. It's way too good.
It's
way too powerful. It just needs to be. I love my C2. It just needs to be way worse in atmosphere, and then it fixes all these problems.
Yeah, and then, but like,
it's
what
too
did
fast.
I just say?
There's no reason to use any other ship over a C2, other than a hull C if you're like doing station to station.
It will be. I mean, based on what we experienced with the A2 in engineering, it is going to be horrible. Yeah. It is going to be killed so easily. So, again, we don't know a lot about engineering. It's probably going to change a lot. But the current experience, the C2 is dead in the water in space. Dead in the water in space, and probably dead in atmosphere as well. But
yeah, because then a lot of those decisions make sense when the larger ships take a lot longer to fill up, and the ships themselves become a lot riskier. Like, you're not going to bother spending the time picking up 4 to 12 boxes at 20 different locations unless you can do it really quickly, and that's where the small ships are going to come in.
Yeah, just depends.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, again, the C2 is so powerful because you can do it quickly.
But right now the C2 is too good. So
yeah. So I don't know how to fix that, but that's I tried not to take too much time. I think we took about 5 minutes, but my concerns are my concerns, and they will be my concerns until we get to play. And I'm not gonna write a Spectrum post about it. I'm gonna play the game, and when it's in, we'll play it, and we'll give feedback, and it'll get better. But I really, really, really hope and pray that what they do is that you cannot land at a outpost unless you land on a landing pad, and they choose the size of the landing pads.
Just make them smaller. Yeah.
Just make them smaller. That's my hope, is that it just you will get impounded, you'll get attacked, you'll get whatever, and you just can't go to some locations with these ships. Just hard lock it away. And then it's like, yeah, I want to do this trade route. Okay, well, I got to bring a small ship or a medium ship. And that'll be that.
Like I think they can easily make the reasons to bring those smaller ships regardless of where you yourself are in terms of what you own. A lot of that may come with some of the other things I mentioned in SCL, like weight affecting the ship. Right? Like I imagine a C2 will become significantly worse once it's got what just shy of 700 SCU of cargo inside of it. But yeah, that definitely has to be a consideration. I don't think it's going to be in the first implementation. I think the C2 just will remain king for ages. But with the hope that either engineering or the extra cargo stuff changes it. But I think it's a good idea overall to keep it keeps those other locations relevant for at least some aspect of the game without destroying the entire economy. Destroys the economy without destroying the game loop, I guess. Because you can still do those sort of things that you want. It's just now you're going to be doing them at distro centers.
At the same time, I love the idea that certain locations deal in certain size boxes. Because like Port Olisar is a port. Every time, like I don't fly on planes very much because I'm scared of them. So when we do go on vacation, I go on a cruise because we live in Florida, so it's very cheap for us to do cruises. It's also a super cheap vacation for us, which is great. Port of Miami, Port of Fort Lauderdale, Port of Fort Lauderdale, I can't remember. All you see is those containers, nothing smaller, right? So like that happening would be super, super cool. And I think again makes sense. But it just comes down to the idea that small ships can't use the big boxes, but the big ships can still use the small boxes, guys. So it's like that's the part that doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, so like we have to figure out a way to be like, the road, small roads and like back roads or little towns have bridges that big trucks can't go under, right? Like things like that. So you have to have a smaller box truck, or that's how it works in the real world. And I was having arguments about people with how it works in the real world, and they were using just one example and not getting off of it. And it was like, it's
not only that, but also
they
like
sold these ships. They need to be useful.
Yeah. Not only that, but also like really expensive small packages are often in small but very well defended like trucks. You don't send like extremely expensive medical equipment most of the time by sea. You'll probably either send it by plane, or you'll have it in like, I don't know what the American equivalent is, but in Australia we have this armor guard is what we call them, armor guard trucks.
We call them armored
like bank trucks. That sort of stuff. And so if they could make that more of a thing too, cool. Like cool, sick. Now you can use your freelancer miss. That's what that's for.
Or the idea of stealthiness, and a smaller ship will be able to not be seen as easily, right? Like a C2 should a full C2 especially should just be a beacon of radar, like
what is your signature?
Microtech. What is your signature? Stanton. It should just they should be able to see you, so there's ways that this can be balanced. It just they didn't talk about it too much, and that's why I was like concerned, but very patiently waiting before I actually freak out. And that'll be that, because in the end, I do love my Caterpillar. I do love the Hull C, but I have not enjoyed the game more than when I was using a Hull A or a freelancer, or like that's what I came to this game for. I remember after my Aurora, the next ship I wanted to buy was a Freelancer Max because it was the smallest ship that can go through the biggest ship that can go through the smallest jump point. That was how they were selling it. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be me. I'm going to, because I'm going to probably play solo. You know, I wasn't streaming or anything at the time. I didn't think I would be able to like get a good group together. Or, you know, like I would join an org or something and I would eventually be doing that most of the time, you know? So that's
actually a good point to bring up, Mike, because that could be the thing that changes it is jump points. While we know that it's likely that every ship can go through a jump point,
we have the
much
Stanton
riskier
system
for other ones. Exactly.
in our
Well, our
minds
profit
only.
right now is 0.5% because we're taking it from a very we're right next to each other.
Yep.
So yeah, that could be completely
we have
different.
Stanton brain. Very good point.
Yeah.
All my concerns have now gone. Like now those concern feelings go away. And again, still stick to let's see how it goes. But we only have the Stanton system for right now. And I do hope that cargo hauling is fun within the Stanton system also. Right?
Yep. CIG, I will take hiring to make people calm down. I could be the resident Star Citizen therapist.
I was calm. I was
calmly disappointed.
I was calmly freaking out. I'm freaking out on the inside, but my exterior is not. But we're about an hour. I think it's probably a good time for us to quickly just discuss. We did already a little bit. I'll say I am not excited for 323 anymore. I am not. I may not log into the PU once outside of Xenothreat. That's me. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the entire community will be so happy that I'm not playing the game and doing something else. Okay? You finally fucking got me. But in the end, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I am just going to patiently wait for the thing that I'm really looking forward to. I'm tired of playing the same experience that we have now, and a new location doesn't do it for me. That is how I feel right now. A few things can change, and I think maybe the distribution centers can be a little bit more fun, and we'll see. Maybe, what if there's trades at the distribution center?
True.
You know,
they're gonna bring you back in.
You know, like things like that. There might be like cargo hauling there. Maybe there's some sneaky mining changes or something. But at the moment, I don't care. And Manor Lords comes out in a week. I've been enjoying other games, and that's what I'm gonna do until the game that I want to play starts happening.
And yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm still so excited, and I even mentioned like one of the things that happened to me today with the FPS stuff got me even more excited for the patch, because it's the FPS rework, the master modes stuff coming in, has altered the just base game for me so much that it feels like a new experience. So yeah, so that's going to keep me going for quite a while, I imagine. As long as the live release is decent. So I am very still excited. I am still very excited for 323. But you guys all know me. I'm always excited. So
yeah. Oh my God, we have lots of calls. Okay,
we do.
We may not get to all. We may not get to all of you. Okay, so I say we let's try to. We're putting a timer on you guys, because this shouldn't be that hard of a question to answer, and it should just be a couple minutes of why you're excited or why you're not. If you guys start going off topic, we're going to probably jump in. Sound good?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right, so we got Mr. Aston 177. Mr. Aston, welcome.
Mr. Aston, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent.
Yeah, fantastic.
Good. You hear me all right?
Yes, you're loud and clear.
Perfect.
So, you excited? You not?
I mean, I'm still pretty excited. Although the one thing I was more excited about was cargo missions.
Yeah.
And things, because I have a friend who got a Caterpillar a while ago, and he just wants to be a dirty space trucker, in his own words. And so he just wants to do cargo all the time.
Yeah.
And there's no realistic way to do it at the moment. So I was really excited to because I can't really get him into the game to play with me. because there's no cargo things to do. So I was excited to like get him in, and we can do some cargo stuff. But outside of that, I am excited for all the other things that are coming. Star map, the new inventory, the new FPS changes, and things like that. Because problem, because I think it just has. It's a much needed refresh for the things that we currently have.
Oh yeah,
because
100%.
doing like just bunker missions or bounty missions, like it gets old because you're having to deal with the problems with the star map, or you're having to deal with the problems with the missions or whatever. And
not to mention that every time you go to those locations, even with bounties, it's extremely two-dimensional. Like there's no real variety to any of them.
Exactly, yeah. So it adds a little bit of refresh to the game, and even if it's still the same sort of content.
Yeah,
it does. For me, that's not enough, and that's why I feel the way I do. But I totally get the perspective of how it could be a bit of a refresh for others.
Yeah, but you also play a lot of Star Citizen, so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
I don't tend to play it too much. I play the first few weeks of a patch, and then I may check the .x patches after that.
That's what I was going to ask next. Are you excited to play for a week and then move on? I think most people that will be the case. I don't think there's anything wrong with that either.
I don't know. It depends. And also, I have some friends that I've gotten into the game. They've had a hard time running the game.
Yep.
So like, if the performance changes end up working well, if the instability that we're seeing in the PTU goes away, then maybe I can get them to get in the game more. Because my main problem is I always just end up being by myself after the first week. Then I just get bored.
Yeah.
But as long as I have people to just do things, because my friends just like to go and do BS things. Like a while ago, my friend and I I was in a freelancer max, and I dropped him out of the back, and he was in a cyclone, and it was an orbital drop on Microtech.
Yeah,
basically. And he landed on this like frozen lake, and then I picked him up without landing. So we just like to go and do sort of BS things,
sandboxy things, or it's not even really sandboxy, but it is.
Yeah. So that's what I like about the game. It's just the shock and awe of all the things that you can do when you just forget about actually doing something.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I can't exist in a world like that. I can't play a game like that. Like it is awesome, and for me, everything that you find to be awesome and still like playable and repeatable with your friends is what I look at as like the massive potential that the game has. And the moment they do what I'm asking for, I'll never play anything else for the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But
yeah,
I don't find it fun to drop a ship off of a ship and then pick somebody up when there's no reason. I don't. That's just me.
And I understand that, but it's and I also, but it's, how do I word this? It's like,
also, we're not arguing like either side.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to argue,
you don't have to defend yourself like in any way. You're extremely valid in what you.
No,
if anything, Mike is sad that he can't have that much fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's basically what I'm expressing. Yeah.
No, I would like it to be. I agree with you in the sense that like, I want the game to be more. I always want it to be more. And it always just falls a little short every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like as soon as they add all the things that I've been hearing about and excited for since I got into the game 4 years ago, then I'll never play anything else.
Yep. Can't wait.
My friend and I always joke about, one day we'll play the release of Star Citizen in the retirement home. So
yeah.
At least we got that.
Maybe the beta.
Maybe the beta.
Maybe just the beta. It'll be so close, guys. Just 2 years away. But Aston, do you have anything? Anything else you're excited for? Are you going to play any of the like AC stuff?
If I can get some people to play it with, yeah.
You won't join just a random lobby and see how it goes.
I mean, I might. I don't know. Depends on how bored that I get.
I feel like at least for
at
least for the engineering stuff, you need some trust with the other people you bring in. I commend anyone who goes in there for just like trying to pug up something. That'd be.
I may sabotage it in every engineering. I don't know. We'll see. Depending on also how bored I get.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I do really like the grab racing stuff.
Oh, I'm obsessed. What's your best time?
I was watching Croncy do it. I haven't done that.
Oh, you haven't done it. You just think you'll like it. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Has it been confirmed that it's coming back as permanent for 323?
I don't know. I hope it does.
Need to get.
I hope it does, but like new leaderboard,
yeah,
all that stuff, like
yeah.
Like with a refresh, and I really want it with a reward.
Well, it automatically new leaderboards every time there's a patch, like a big patch. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
All of our stuff will be on the 322 patch. So.
Gotcha. Cool. So we'll have to redo everything because I'm starting to get down to the 28s now from 29. I'm like, and I think I did 127 once, like super lucky one. Jesus. So I'm starting to like get there. And I'm getting excited for it. But yeah, I think Aston, maybe this is where we leave you unless you have any final thoughts.
No, that's it. I am still excited for it for various things, but it's probably gonna be the same thing of I'll play it for a few weeks, let the hype die down, and I'll move on.
Yeah.
But
yep, same game we've been playing essentially in that sense.
Which I will literally just one last thing to put on. I think because that sentiment is probably shared by a lot of people. The fact that Xenothreat is supposed to come out with 323 or soon after, the fact that we have Invictus may extend that for a lot of people, which will be great. That's my hope, at least, is that like people get to enjoy the patch for a lot longer than they normally would, where it's like 1 week and we're done. So we'll see what happens there.
You get Xeno, then you get Invictus, which we'll all go and check out the event, see what's going on, and then from there you might have the cargo stuff that comes. So you're like engaging with Star Citizen more than you ever have. So is it really that bad of a thing that cargo's coming a few weeks to a month to a few months later? Maybe not so bad, right? You're more engaged with the game for longer from their standpoint, at least. So maybe it's not such a bad thing. But
fair point. Yeah.
All right, Mr.
I don't want to take up too much time. Appreciate you guys.
Yep, appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon. First time call, right?
Yes, it is.
Nice.
Awesome.
All right. Cool.
All right. Cheers for calling.
Later.
See ya.
All right, and our next caller is VCRPlayer, who I was just playing with in the engineering arena commander. So VCRPlayer,
how you doing?
What's up?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, so I'll try to keep y'all's time with me short. I definitely have some points. To answer your question, as far as being excited for 323, I'm very excited for various reasons, more than just engineering. Because I definitely come from like the sweatier side of Star Citizen, to be fair.
He is pro A2 pilot. It was impressive. It was awesome to play with him.
And so everybody's like very, all these different like squadron orgs and stuff like that. Everybody's kind of learning the new master modes. A lot of people were complaining about master modes and stuff like that for a while, but the reality is we're stuck with it one way or the other. And so now everybody's kind of given up and they're learning it. And honestly, I think that it's slowly getting better and better. I'm a huge fan of how they're balancing the weapons. But regardless, I think
they did something with the gunnery a little bit, right? Like they're not super long range like they were before, I feel like. Or was that just in engineering?
Well, so my biggest thing with like the A2 and the live patch was and more than just the A2, but like large cannons like size 5s and things like that, their muzzle velocity was painfully slow, especially when ships are moving around at Mach Jesus half the time, right? And
Jesus is amazing. Sorry, that's fantastic.
Yeah. and the thing is like and it was more than just the muzzle velocity. It was also some other things like the fixed assist being like sort of a hard skill cap on how good your gunners can be. And the good news is that 323 fixes both those issues. Not only is there a button to disable the fixed assist, but there's also a button to, or not a button, I guess, but they balance the guns differently in master modes, and the muzzle velocity is significantly higher across the board for pretty much every gun.
Okay.
And yeah, so as far as engineering too, like definitely, you know, Mike, I thought about it a little bit after we discussed it, right? And I definitely agree with you. The HP needs to be increased on the A2 because the reality is that at least in the engineering mode, right? Because the reality is that we're disabling components and the ship is immediately dying. And it was, you know, I watched the VOD of us doing like the A2 versus A2 combat. As soon as we got shields down, it broke. It destroyed the component. That A2, the shields immediately went to 0. And I actually sent you my POV of that, Mike.
Okay. I couldn't open
if you
it
ever
during the
want to
podcast because
look
it
at
goes
it
over
later.
Croncy's head, so I have to look at it.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah, fair enough. But you know, the HP just needs to be increased enough to the point to where people have a chance to repair the ship. Like you said, because it's just it's getting disabled and then the ship's just getting straight annihilated.
Yep.
And other than that, you know, we need being able to repair the components while the shields are still up. That's kind of an issue. And then, you know, the force reaction stuff. I know you were raging about that. I was kind of trolling you a little bit with that. To be fair, the force reactions on the screen is definitely ridiculous.
Panel, your head goes like this, and you can't I'm
I was
trying
gonna
to
say,
click
is
a
that
button,
still,
and my mouse
so
moves.
that's still a thing?
Yep.
Because that's
like,
my biggest gripe. I love the
my
mechanic,
God.
but that sucks. It either needs to be a seat or it needs to lock you into it.
Yeah.
Because it's not even like
it's really funny.
it's not even like a mechanic. It's like, oh, well, you could just like not fly as aggressive. That's never
not
going
an
to
option.
Happen.
Yeah.
No shot that's ever going to happen. I will never trust any pilot to fly straight. So that needs to be fixed some way. Anyway, continue.
And then, you know, some other things too is like in the engineering mode, it seems like they have the muzzle velocities of the live flight model, which seems to be holding back, you know, gunners from being able to hit gladiuses and stuff like that. And, you know, I can't speak to what I'm definitely, you know, biased when it comes to that stuff, right? Because I mean, all I do is the multi-crew. I definitely think the muzzle velocity should be a little bit faster in engineering, but if they make them too fast, obviously people are just going to start beaming these gladiuses before they can even have a chance to do anything.
Yeah,
so
it's going to have to be. The whole point of this is it's a great way to find a balance. I think it's forcing people into these scenarios, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And then you know, some stuff I would love if they added to engineering mode and stuff like that is one, being able to queue with your team into the duels. It's kind of strange to I mean, it's an arena commander thing, to be fair, but you know, you queue into these duels and it auto balances your team, you know, on opposite sides.
And for people who don't know, duel is A2 versus the Gladius, and squad is A2 versus A2. So you want to join as a A2 group. You don't want to join as not that. I hope that it'll be, or what? Yeah, I might have got it the other way around. That's right, I got it the other way around. Squad is one way and duel is the other way. But you want to stay with your group, and the problem is Arena Commander is like a disaster. Nobody's playing it. There's on the PTU, you're joining in solo queues. Like you have to make your own lobby. Like nobody is experiencing these modes the way they should be at the moment. I hope you're right too. I know it was in the notes. It said that they want to do that.
Yeah. And at the very least, now that we can do private lobbies, we still can test at least with our groups.
Yeah.
In like proper ways. But we definitely want
nobody
to actually work.
You want to dump on randoms. Like that's what you want to do. you want to hate the person on the other side because you don't know them. Like it just makes it easier.
Right. Well, and you know, not just that, but you want to be able to play against different people to get a feel for the different like types of skill and stuff like that, right?
You want to play the game.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, as far as, you know, people getting balanced on different teams and playing by themselves as well too, you know, like being able to I know y'all were discussing the routing stuff earlier, as far as being able to like put in a waypoint and things like that. for like the little lead engineer guy on the engineering panel, if they were able to put in waypoints for other people on the ship to go repair components, that would be insane. Like that would be amazing. Like to be able to ping components and stuff like that. Because right now, if you don't have good comms, I feel like on these ships, you're going to get dumped on. And, you know,
Which
there's really no...
I will say, I think that's fine.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
That's always a good way to balance it, is like, you know, to figure out who has the better communication in the teams. However, I do think your idea is sick, and I would love to see that. I would think that'd be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, there just needs to be a little bit more of like in-game features to like help guide people, or like, you know, guide people as far as the engineering stuff is concerned. And, you know, that they may plan on doing that already. I have no idea. And then also just being able to like have maybe the engineering info on the minimap, like if there was like an engineering helmet or something like that changed the minimap that's on your HUD to show like the components and things like that in the same way that the person on the screen can see it. That would be insane. Like that would be totally game changing.
Yeah, I think that'd be sick. Like,
yeah, but
no comments. Implement now.
but yeah, like overall, you know, I think engineering mode, obviously it's a test right now. It's going to be, it's in the same way that master modes was a test for several patches. It's probably going to be, you know, in the test phase for a while as they add more ships and test more stuff out. But I definitely think that people need to be aware that like these ships, if you're doing stuff in the future and you get into combat, you're going to get totally dumped on, I feel like, because like you have to play with crew. Now, you know, obviously everybody's like,
if you're going into combat, you have to play with crew. Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
We have to make that caveat, because I think a lot of people will still be able to cargo haul with one or two and be fine.
Yeah, that's fair.
How often have you cargo hauled and actually been attacked? It doesn't happen that often.
Yeah. It depends on how high value that cargo is, right? So, and that'll come into being able to like for the ship to last without it getting hard death, because you know you can't really pirate these ships when they're getting, if their HP is like, you know, as I guess as low as the A2 feels right now, right? Something else that I just realized too.
I will say, classic. The guy who says I'll be quick has not gotten.
Sorry.
Quick. It's okay.
I'm trying to burn through my points real quick, because there's definitely a lot of really cool stuff to talk about. But I mean, it's these ships, like communication is going to be insanely important. Obviously, having good aim and things like that, as far, you know, and just like playing with your friends is going to be so important, because you know a lot of people discuss this stuff where, you know, I'll be able to have NPCs on my ship. Yeah, for sure. And, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I'll be able to get NPCs on my ship to help me, you know, do combat and things like that. Honestly, I can't see NPCs ever being able to ever get even remotely close to the point of like being able to play with friends. Like even, you know, randoms would be, right? If you have a ship full of players, right? Yeah.
We won't know until we know.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
an engineer.
A weird touch
gunner,
on
maybe.
that. Do you have any of you been interdicted ever since they brought in the new Mantis mechanics?
I did a full test on interdiction with Hannah.
Did you get NPC interdicted?
Oh, not NPC interdicted. I got interdicted by a player.
Just a random thing. I'm really curious to see how the interaction works there, and like the future implications for this sort of stuff. But yeah,
I will say it still has the same issues, but we were in the really shitty patch that was like super delayed with every interaction that you were doing. It took maybe 10-15 seconds before it recognized that I was in an interdiction bubble. Like, so it interdicted me, but then I could have still jumped. Almost did, and then it said, no.
All right.
But anyway, I'll leave it be. Two things before I go. You know, the something else I think that Mike touched on during engineering earlier this morning is definitely remote turrets need like self status and the target status HUDs like on the remote turret somehow. Would be amazing. UIs,
and they have no information that people need on them still. Why are we doing this? Art over everything always. It's driving me insane.
And then the other thing that used to drive me absolutely insane, and it's sort of like that's why earlier I was like, hey, can you get off the co-pilot seat? The co-pilot seat disabling countermeasures on the A2, and I think it does it on other ships too, is like the most frustrating thing in the world. Because the co-pilot seat controls the middle, top, and bottom turret on that thing.
Mhm.
And if you get in it, you totally take away countermeasures from the pilot, which is like insanely important in many ways, you know.
And you couldn't use
And
them. I not only do you take them away, you can't use them. I wasn't able to. I tried to use them.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so there's a lot of working out. And what I did say to VCR when we were playing, the one awesome part about this is because when the tests are super focused, you tend to be only dealing with one or two developers that are seeing these issues, and they raise those issues higher than a player ever could. And bang, those things get fixed so much faster. So the idea of that being a thing completely ruining the engineering mode experience. So all the things that they've worked on for their couple of months, it all of a sudden gets fixed and becomes a priority when it should have been the entire time. So hopefully that'll be the case on some of these things. So there is a positive here that when it really screws up a mode like that, bang, those things get fixed. So fingers crossed on that one. I think we have a good chance of fixing some of those annoying issues much sooner.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been doing A2, like A2 and multi-crew stuff since pretty much the A2 went flyable, and I'm going to continue to do that stuff. That's all my org does. We love doing multi-crew, and it's definitely excited for 323.
Sorry, you mean your org does org gameplay?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? But yeah.
Awesome, man.
Have a good one, guys.
Yep, and hopefully we do some more playing soon, because that was a great time.
Thanks.
Later, man.
See you.
Have a good one, man.
He was so good. I was immediately doing like org diplomacy with him. Like that's how solid he was. Yeah. I was like, we need to group up with you. All right,
mercenaries.
Exactly. Warbot next. Warbot, can you hear us?
How you doing?
Oh, let me go ahead and silence the YouTube.
Yeah, all good.
There you go.
Hi there. I was hearing two mics. So
Yep.
Classic.
Yep. So how are you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Doing good. What do you think about this title here as well? What do you think about that?
Well, I'll give you my score. My excitement for 3.23 out of 10 has dropped from 8 to 7. So it wasn't a big...
Pretty solid, yeah.
Well, yeah, it wasn't a big drop because cargo wasn't really my thing. And my condolences, Croncy, and congratulations on your new avatar. Because I won my bet as well. It's like, I don't think they're going to make it with this card. So I got myself a soda. So
yeah, sorry. My excitement actually went down to 0 because I have to use this character now.
It is very unique. And what's even better is that you can share that with everybody else as a file, and then we can all be you, Croncy.
Yeah, everyone can be a member of the concierge.
I will put it on Google Drive.
There's a I'll try to find it for you later, Mike.
Oh,
there's
website.
Already a community website,
Yeah.
For sharing characters. So
we have emotes as well. For
I noticed.
Yeah.
It's so terrifying.
Yep. You can add them to your Twitch, all that stuff. So
yeah,
beautiful.
But ooh.
But yeah, Warbot, like what are your feelings of the patch in general? Are you in Wave 1, Wave 2 and been able to play it a bit?
No, I have actually been staying away from doing too many of the EPTUs. Every now and then I will jump in, just because like I kind of want to be surprised when the actual live comes out.
Yeah.
And experience it once like all the stability is somewhat smoothed over. I understand server stability is never going to get fixed until server meshing and everything after that. But the one big thing that really like I am happy for is that the for any MMO first impression is character creation. I am very excited for character creator. That is the first boss for me in every MMO. I could spend hours in there and never leave. Because
do you create yourself, or do you create a character when you tend to do this, like a RP type character?
Oh yeah, I create myself as well as like several other characters that I usually have from MMOs. So I played Ion a lot. I made sure I had like my 3 characters, and then Black Desert Online made my 3 characters, and then just had a lot of fun with that. So that is one thing I cannot wait.
Mm.
The quality of life stuff definitely very, very happy they're coming in. Yeah, and then of course the reason why I will be playing this patch is because I do want to at least learn master modes and give as much feedback as possible. Because it is one of the backbones of the game is the flight. So
even
we
more so
definitely
than cargo. We've been hammering on cargo, but flight is way bigger.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's like that. I would say, aside from character creation being the first impression of the game, that's the second impression, the mechanic of that. Because if the flight is not only accessible but also advanced enough to where it's worth learning and improving yourself in, then yeah. Actually, while I was waiting for my turn, I discovered the Archimedes. I'm just flying in Daymar, so I just parked myself.
Nice.
So yeah. Yeah, I was disappointed, of course, that
Yeah, you a big cargo
free
hauler?
elevators. I actually did dabble it when I first started the game.
Yeah.
That's why I am very excited to try the Zeus Clipper as my sort of starting cargo and see how it goes. Because I think they said that is the largest, that possibly might be the largest ship that can fit into a small jump point. I'm not too sure
so
where I
they've
heard
changed it. Oh, surprise, surprise.
I think that's what they said.
They've said that sort of stuff a lot. It's almost certainly, at least, especially from when we got the playtest and stuff, that it's going to be every ship can fit in every jump. However, the difficulty of like actually going through that point will change depending on size.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, when I was watching the ISC and he was talking, giving the explanation why, what was it in Star Citizen? Or was it
ISC
whatever
was
the one?
ISC
Live.
was the
Sorry.
water one. So yeah, SEL. Yeah.
Okay, SEO. When I was listening to him, like all these ideas that they were thinking about and what they could have done, like allowing us to access, our party members' inventory and their hangars. I was like, well, it's a sort of halfway point between org bank, which we would love to have right now.
Yeah.
And individual banks is sort of like a shared party like inventory. So it'll be a separate inventory. You can just drop stuff in, so anybody that's partied with you can have access to it if they enter your hangar, but it won't access your actual inventory. I feel like that'll be a nice sort of stopgap in there.
Yeah.
But
I feel like when they made that clarification in SCL, it seems like they've made the systems in such a way that it doesn't feel like it's a crazy stretch for them to essentially make in-game org party chat just work exactly the same way. Like the second you join in, you're automatically joined into your org chat, and then it just works. You can do those. It just works.
Yeah, it's like I wonder what the big, not the holdup is, but what the hurdle is after.
I imagine it's a priority thing more than anything.
Yeah, it just blows my mind that org stuff isn't a priority.
Yeah.
Like, and as the previous person said, like, the more ways that we can play with friends, the more we want to play this game.
Exactly.
Because right now, a lot of my friends are, we're all in Discord, sure, but there are so many missing elements of cooperative gameplay in this game aside from multi-crew. Even multi-crew is still a little flat right now.
With some of the features that we were talking about today coming in to not make it so much flat. So that's at least been a priority recently.
Oh yeah, I expected engineering to be something like a game of Overcooked, just chaos running around. So I was watching SaltEMike's VOD. I was like, oh boy, who's got what? Let's go.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah. So hopefully we can get. Hopefully they do get to the point where we can assign party roles like, hey, you're an engineer, you have access to this stuff. You're a pilot, you have access to this stuff.
And
you're captain, you have access to everything.
They talked about it on and off for a few years, and just waiting on it.
They had originally said that like the first sort of implementation of that would be the trespass system, and we got that, and it was all it was are you in party or not? So there's
Yeah.
please be more than that,
Yeah.
and I imagine it will be, but like
Yeah.
are you guys going to work on that soon? Who knows?
Such a foundation
Yeah.
for the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine it's something close to just assigning a tag to a party member. Like you can just right click on their name, like, okay, assign this as sub leader, assign this so he can invite other people, assign this person as this role, and then he gets this. So
Yeah.
and assign this person as passenger. He only gets access to the public areas in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. But all right, Warbot,
Yeah.
because we're kind of short on time to get everybody else in.
All right.
Gave it a rating, and
Mhm.
what are you gonna do day one? As soon as the patch goes live, and then we'll let you go.
I will. Well, actually, my first thing is to learn how to fly again, and
There you go.
the second and the last thing is expect that cargo sale when they do bring in cargo.
Yeah.
Yeah, avoid.
Sale number 3 of the month. All right, then.
All right,
Take care,
Warbot.
guys. Have a good rest of your weekend.
Cheers,
later,
everyone.
All right, and then how do you say this name? I'm struggling.
AmaimonAkihiko.
There you go.
I think that's that looks like it might be right. AmaimonAkihiko. Sorry, AmaimonAkihiko. Did I completely butcher your name?
Hey guys, just Amai for short.
Lovely.
Okay, I'm just putting
So-
a my as your tag up there. Above me that.
Sure.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. How you feeling?
I don't know how to feel.
I mean, that's fair.
I've been playing Wave 1 PTU. I'll admit the last 2 patch drops that they did, I've barely tested. Mostly just weapon changes in Arena Commander.
Mm.
I expected the cargo and hangars to drop, to be honest. So I wasn't too disappointed by that. And I don't really expect the hangars to come in until after Invictus, because they always do a free fly with Invictus. They're not going to want new people coming in and having to deal with buggy hangars, right?
Yeah.
So-
They're not going to want to destabilize it.
That's
Exactly.
yeah, that's kind of my expectation, or has
Mhm.
been. The distribution centers, I want to love them, but so far I have fallen through the floor more times than I can explore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so,
only had a good time today so far with those. Like they've been incredibly buggy for the last week.
Friday patch cleaned up quite a few things. I mean, performance-wise
Yeah.
as well, much better, all that stuff. Which is probably why you're falling through the
Yeah.
floor.
Well, on the Friday's patch, to be honest, I had a worse experience because at least previously I could go to the distribution centers.
Oh, you were
Now,
crashing before
if
you
I
can
go
get
to
there?
the distribution centers, no. I was going there on a legal mission, and then I was identified as trespassing and got blown out of the sky.
Nice.
I will say, were you sure you were going to a legal distro center? Because there's of course legal
Yes.
missions, but they send you to.
It
there's, like,
was it was a
few legal
legal
ones.
distro center that I'd been
Okay,
to
yeah.
multiple times before, and
Fair
it
enough,
was just,
yep.
oh hey, you're trespassing, and it was just one of those, find a missing person missions,
Yeah.
which I'd already done a couple times before, but I'm looking forward to it actually working properly, because I think there's a lot of them that I haven't been able to explore. I've seen posts of people showing stairwells and
Mhm.
closets and stuff that I haven't been able to find. The only time I've found something that other people haven't seen is when I've fallen into the center somewhere where I'm not supposed to be yet.
Mm.
So
And like for me, even if I didn't fall through them, I wouldn't care too much. Like still, I'm still at the point where they're just a location and they haven't given me their love that they could be yet. I want them to be that factory that Croncy mentioned. I'm waiting for that.
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I tend to do in the game, I mean, I've played since 2015, 2016. I own too many ships.
We all do.
I
One ship is
yeah.
too many.
I tend to go to outposts, like
Mm-hmm.
the just random outposts, the city, derelict style outposts that they've been putting up. I like going to those. And so the one thing I'm kind of curious about with all the cargo changes coming is what's happening with those. For example, when the merchantman comes in, how are those going to work with the merchantman? Because that's not really a ship that you'd be going to.
Is this where I jump in?
Uh,
I said I would
sure.
jump in.
Go
We're
ahead.
talking about the fucking Banu merchantman.
No, I just meant like in terms of cargo.
I know, but
But like you mentioned, big ships not landing at LZs and
okay,
stuff,
okay.
and I agree with that. But then there's the outposts. I think should be treated maybe a bit different than the LZ, but how they do that, I think, is going to be a big.
I'm curious what they
if.
do. I feel like we shouldn't tell them how to do it, but I think we should tell them our concerns and let's see what they got. Because
Exactly.
I think when we're good about that and they're good about listening, and it's hard to there's sometimes tends to be this we're yelling into a box and they can't hear us, but they want to hear us, and
Let us
but
out.
yeah, like when they do hear us, I always tend to see things get kind of fixed pretty quickly. I don't know. I think back to a lot of people freaking out about master modes. You got Avenger 1 and Yogi going on to Space Tomatoes podcast. They hammer it out and everybody feels fine after.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be okay. You know?
And
We're gonna
on
get through
that
this
topic,
mess.
they've been making a lot of changes. Like every
Yeah.
patch has been slightly different with master modes. However, the more recent changes, the charge weapons, which they also added to the Ion.
Sure.
To me, that has been the worst thing to come into the game since hover mode. It doesn't work in the way that it is. I mean, why give a ship a capacitor at all if I can only shoot one shot at a time because of the charge rate and then the cooldown? By the time you fired that shot and you go to fire the next one, your capacitor is recharged anyway.
I haven't tested them since they've changed the charge rate yet. I was testing them when they were like sitting there waiting for a while to charge back up. But
I was playing with it yesterday. It's still
Yeah.
too long, but I think the length of time wouldn't be an issue if it would hold the charge. So do like an EMP does, it charges up and then you release it when you want to, but it doesn't do that currently, and it makes it almost unplayable, especially for a ship like the Ion. It just for tachyon cannons, rail cannons, all that kind of stuff, it makes sense because they're massive amounts of damage and whatever, but it just doesn't work.
I still think it's a good direction, and then we'll hopefully
definitely, but
get to see it. I think it might be okay. We'll see, but yeah, I don't know.
the flight model though for master modes, I'm loving it. Like
Cool.
ships that were
So
having
the opposite
issues
of
in
everyone.
atmosphere.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
Well-
I've been hearing a lot more praise for it in the last week than I've heard over it generally over the last 6 months.
God, those
8 months,
initial
9 months,
Spectrum
however long it's been.
threads, though.
And I think like one kind of like what Amaya said, like a lot of that is probably because they kept changing it, and maybe it's just in a good spot now. I honestly think though it's just because more people are actually doing master modes now. I think the amount of people that were just doing it in Arena Commander was pretty low for the most part, because people don't usually do Arena Commander,
Exactly.
Well, it's like you said, the people just listening to what some streamer says instead of playing it for themselves. I think now,
exactly.
especially with it being Wave 2,
Yep.
more people are getting their hands on it and realizing, hey, this isn't that bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and most streamers are putting, I guess the especially the PvP streamers are at the very edge of everything and finding all the little issues. That's literally their job. Is to try to break the system and game it and get an advantage, and they're showing how bad some certain advantages are, blah 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 blah, and then people are freaking out based off of those when most players aren't going to be rolling with that as much.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. I guess this is sort of on the topic, and I'll steal a little bit of your time, Amai, if you don't mind. Somebody in
Sure.
Twitch chat says, please talk about QEDs and stuck in SCM permanently, death sentence. It's not. I am a terrible pilot. Hannah is arguably a pretty good one, and not one of the best PvPers in the world, but definitely way better than me. I absolutely dumpstered her, and she was in a Mantis, and I was not.
Also on that point, because I've heard that sentiment from a couple of people in the last, like, whenever they announced that that's how it was going to be.
The Antares,
How
though,
often in
is
live?
scary.
Well, good. The Antares is finally a thing. How many times in live have you been interdicted by a player and escaped anyway? Like there's a lot of like, oh, I'm never going to be able to escape, mate. You never escaped in the first place.
Yeah.
This changes nothing for you.
They said think of the Prospector. The Prospector never had a chance. Like you're acting like the old system. There was a difference. There wasn't. So I'll just leave that there, and we can have that another discussion on that another day. But I don't think it's that bad, or anything. So we'll see.
I also think I feel like it's a very elegant solution as well for like keeping QEDs a thing. You know. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm not too scared of them. I mean, as long as I've been playing and since interdiction has been a thing, I can count on two hands how many times I've been interdicted.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's never been a major thing. Most of the time, I just burn like hell and get out. You know.
Yep. I see other people saying that like there's no counterplay to it. Yeah, you're right. I think interdiction's got to change a lot too, but we have something in the game now, and I don't find it to be a death sentence because the Mantis is very, very low health. Right? Like I didn't beat Hannah because I was good. I beat Hannah because the ship is bad. And she destroyed me in the Antares because the Antares is good.
Yeah.
Yep. And it always was low health, but now you can actually hit ships because master modes. So there you go.
I'm just happy the Sentinel guy is valid now because that's one of the ships I own. And
is it?
Prior to
What makes it valid?
323, it was not valid. Well, it has a 93 ammo pull on the guns for now without balanced weapons. It's maneuverable as hell. Right now, it does have an engine bug, though. If you go into VTOL or landing mode and you pitch below 0 on the inclinometer, you will fall out of the sky. Up thrust and boost does nothing. You have to be above the horizon. But that's a known issue. Hopefully it gets fixed.
Okay, cool.
Other than that, it's amazing. I've been loving the hell out of it in the Meridian Commander.
Sweet.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
Well, all right, Amai. I think we've used up our time.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll talk to you soon. And that was fun.
Yeah. Cheers for calling in.
Appreciate it. Later. All right. Next caller, Hickory Bacon. We got a bunch of names I've never seen before, so this is cool.
Hickory Bacon, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? Can
What
you
up?
hear me?
Yeah.
Sure can.
All right, 1 second, because you're coming through my TV, and I don't know why you're coming through my TV. Well, all right, that's all right. As long as you can't hear me through the TV, then we're good.
Test.
So
No, not too bad.
Yeah, it's fine.
So as far as 323, I mean, I'm mildly excited. It's I want to try the master modes out because whole new flight mechanic. As far as the FPS stuff goes, I'm also excited for that. The engineering, I'm gonna try it, but after watching Mike's stream, I was it seemed a little bit like you guys were just blowing up before you even changed the relays out.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Mark was talking about, right? Like the health of the A2 is just too low, and yeah, they're aware of it. They've been actively making changes the entire week to try to get it.
The reason I was playing was to make sure that the change that they put in worked. It didn't, and they have some ideas apparently of what they want to do.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I want to check it out just to try to learn a little bit of what it's all about. Croncy, you were saying that you did 100,000 FPS mission at the distribution centers?
125k. It's a VHRT, but it's a ground FPS VHRT, and it's multiple locations within the distribution center. So you've got to clear. Think of it as like you're doing 3 back-to-back eliminate all missions, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you do that in a group? I mean, obviously
No.
that must be pretty hard.
No, but I wasn't able to finish it
Okay.
because of bugs and stuff. So
That stuff sounds cool because you got to group up to try to hopefully beat that. Where I really like the overdrive missions. I hope they bring something like that into this patch because we're suffering for content in this game, and as Mike knows, I mean, they need to just add something to the game to just kind of get you excited to come in. Unfortunately, with the cargo and the hangars and stuff, I mean that I'm not a big cargo hauler, but I wanted to try to like decorate my hangar. They were saying there was furniture or something like that.
Yeah, they were talking about it.
yeah.
That to me is more my style. Like, all right, I want to just deck the place out, put some artifacts and stuff on the table, stuff I've collected in the game. But I would say I'm about a 6. I would rank it a 6 to try it out. I'm gonna probably wait until they fix all the performance issues.
Yep.
Is this patch supposed to come before Invictus?
Almost certainly.
It did last year, so we could only go based off of what we knew from previous years, and that's all we got.
It's also we will get a patch before Invictus. And in past years, essentially what they've done when they've had a large patch this close to Invictus is like this patch would go to live like a week and a half before Invictus, and then like 2 days before Invictus, we get that tiny patch that's just like, here are the halls and the new ships.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'll probably wait till even after that event because it's going to be a 3.18 mess probably, but hopefully not.
Yep. I really, really hope not.
No. I don't even want to think about that. But yeah.
Another, this is a little off topic, and then I'll let you guys go. But I just had a question for you. Why don't you think, like the kid before was saying how he likes to go to outposts and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I like to go there, and there's absolutely nothing to do, right?
Yeah.
So why, with the stuff that they already have in the game, you got mining, you have FPS. Why don't they have it so you go to one of those and you have to talk to an NPC? Well, maybe just go up to an NPC or get a call from an NPC, because we all know how they act in the game. But and they say, hey, we need 100 head night, and that tells you to go to a location. You got to kill some ships or something. Go down. It's a certain area on the map where you have to get the head night, and mine it, and then bring it back. Why haven't they taken stuff that's already in the game and made more convoluted missions out of it so that you feel like you're having more stuff to do in the game?
I think their opinion is why fake it and why make it feel like what you're doing is important, and just wait until what you're doing is important has always been their mentality. The problem is that their mentality doesn't make sense when the game's taking 15 years to get finished.
Right. It's like I kind of wish
15 years is what it's going to be probably to get to this 1.0 thing.
I just wish they would have. I wish that they would just have more MMO, just simple like stuff that's in every other MMO game.
Well, I got news for you. It sounds like that's what they want to start doing. It really blows that they're doing it in year 12, but they keep talking about it. It's now just a matter of, are they going to actually act on it?
But also, a lot of those kinds of missions you just can't make until you know what it's going to be like. Otherwise, you're redoing it every 2 years.
You
know what I mean? Like the content can become essentially unusable. And they have talked about wanting that stuff. So they will. I have no doubt in my mind that Elliot and the mission team are 100% doing that sort of stuff. But right now they've got other missions to make.
Gotcha.
Like cargo missions.
Yes, Mike will be very happy about that.
Yes. But all right, we'll let you go, Hickory Bacon. Thank you for
All
your
right,
call,
guys,
man.
take it easy.
Appreciate it.
Yep,
Before you
thanks,
go, where are you
guys. Have
from?
a good one.
Your accent is very familiar to me.
I'm from Syracuse, New York.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Sound very familiar. Bring me back home.
All right, guys,
Talk to you
take it
soon.
easy.
Bye now.
Cheers, Hickory.
Yeah.
All right, next caller. Certified Gumbo. Hello.
Certified Gumbo, how you doing?
What's going on?
Not much.
Not
Been a-
much, just running the podcast.
Just doing a little
been a minute
podcast.
since I hopped in the chat.
You excited?
No, excited is too strong of a word.
Yeah.
I think the patch overall is more enjoyable than 322.
Yep.
But it's going to be difficult for me to get excited for a patch until we really get into like the economy stuff. Like I don't. There's an MMO is not going to move me until there's some sort of economic stimulus, like something economically that we can all engage in. And like, I just want to get to the point where I log in and shit's just happening.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
That's
The most dynamic event is I need commodity, you go get it for me.
the dynamic event just becomes you logging in, and then just you go from there. Like whatever is going on in the game, you figure it out. You just have a plethora of options at that point. But like, it's an enjoyable patch though. Like I've been impressed by the speed that they have been able to get the UI more readable.
Yes.
Because this was my first Evo patch.
Yep.
And I don't think I've seen them iterate on a feature as much as quickly as they have with all the multi-glass stuff. Because when that thing came in, it was like, yo, this is terrible. Like I can't read this.
I will say, I think luckily a lot of the Mobi-Glass stuff in particular was just bugs. Like, it was doing the whole, like, it's angled this way, which means all of this is blurry, all of this is blurry, that sort of stuff. The focus was off. But it seems like they've done a lot of stuff with, like, the drop shadow and the colors and the symbols and whatnot, at least of the UI, like the visor UI.
Dude, I'm loving the symbols.
A lot better over the week.
Quantum travel
the symbols
symbols,
are
like, this is a city. It's, like, way more, it's, like, we sort of had that, but it's much better now than it was.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
When it first came out and it was just circles everywhere on the HUD, I was like, bro, this is ridiculous. Like, what am I? I don't know what I'm looking at. Like,
yeah.
Now like the first big change was when they narrowed the view to like 90 degrees in front of you, and it was like, oh my god, thank you, this is great. Then they changed the UI elements. They fixed the contrast with all the hollow text and all that. Like it's. As you know, I am a graphic designer, and like as a hard part of holographic text is the readability, because you have to create contrast some way, and opacity is the way you ship contrast, right? So it's like, yo, there are some very basic things that they could do to just, if they want to go with the hollow look, like they're gonna have to play with the contrast and opacity levels of the text. And they got it to the point where now everything is showing up, and like you said, a lot of it was bugs. So like now the star map is actually something I can use and enjoy, and it will be a much more smooth experience from a UI standpoint. Stability, on the other hand, who knows, because the replication layer still needs a lot of.
I know, and the scary thing is live tends to be more unstable.
Oh my god, yeah. And it's
well, it tends to be more unstable than like when we get to open wave.
You know what's interesting?
We'll see where we're at when we get there.
What I've noticed with the last 2 builds is the client side stability has improved substantially, at least for me. Like I've been testing back and forth Vulcan and DX12. I can't tell the difference. Like for my hardware setup, DX11, Vulcan are about the same. Like they perform as good. And if Vulcan is still using, it's not multi-threaded yet, like I'm definitely looking forward to when they add multi-threading to it, because it's going to it should, client side stability should be much better. I haven't had any hitching like in the last 2 builds. As far as the render thread goes, like it's been very smooth. Like when I have 30 frames or higher, like it's been pretty much buttery smooth. At all locations too, landing zones for me too. Like I don't run it on reference, but I do run the clouds very high, and I haven't my frames haven't dropped below 30.
And clouds look awesome.
I haven't gone to Orison, so that that caveat there. But
I didn't even thought of like. Of course, I should go to Orison to test clouds. My brain
Orison
didn't
reference
think doing
clouds. Don't do it. Yeah, don't
Okay.
recommend. Everywhere else, it's awesome. Orison, it is your 9 FPS in my experience so far.
Yeah,
Like,
I
but I saw somebody in chat type live straight into a free fly with Xeno threat. Can't wait. Oh god. Just thinking about like do you guys like we haven't had Xeno threat in a while. Do you remember Xeno threat? What it would do to the servers? It made them unplayable on top of all this.
I mean, the last two
I am definitely
builds were
taking a break.
unplayable.
Yeah.
The last when they turned on Xeno threat like 2 builds ago, it was the server stability tanked within like 15 minutes of the patch going up. So like that's going to be the experience on live. I've come to the conclusion that this year as a whole is going to be one of painful growth for Star Citizen, but it's not going to be, and then it's not going to be
the year.
It's not the year for sure. Like
as long as that painful growth isn't as bad as the painful growth we had last year. Cool.
No, this is different. I think this is more necessary. Like this is it's more gameplay oriented growth.
Yeah, look at the UI. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like it's
Big
great.
changes.
Like I love it. It's big. It's good. It's good for the game, but it's not going to be like, oh my god, everything is amazing now. That's not going to be the experience this year. Like,
what do you mean? Why doesn't the game just work perfectly this year? I don't get it.
I think like again, are you still excited for Star Citizen 323? Some people are, some people aren't, but you can't ignore what we are getting is an improvement, right?
Yes.
And I can't say that we've had that improvement every patch that we've ever had. Are we getting stability improvements? If anybody thought replication layer was going to come in and we were going to be stable, they're kind of crazy. But at the same time, I don't think we were looking to have, like, until yesterday, I had near 318 levels of bad experience. In terms of like, why would I ever want to log in and do this? I was saying it on stream. Who would want to do this? You know? And then Friday's patch came and it was like, okay, now maybe I want to do it. But like I just, we can't keep doing this. And
is there a world where they release it without rep layer?
Maybe. It's not committed yet.
Chance.
It's not committed yet.
I don't see that happening. I can't see that happening.
I can, and the only reason is because you have a ship sale coming up, so they will do anything to have it work or anything to be able to put their things out on time, because they seem to decide. They are the deciders these times of the year. These 2 times of the year, they are the ultimate deciders. So you're getting a patch no matter what.
I would agree with that if but I think that this would have been the week that they pulled it from testing if that were the case.
Fair.
Because we're so technically if we're going to assume Invictus stays on its normal release path, we're about 4 weeks away from, because it should be the 17th. If they continue with the cadence that they have been over the past few years, May 17th should be Invictus. So we're still. I have a feeling that the week after next is when this patch goes live, come hell or high water. And so, like, if they were going to pull it, they would. I think that last week would have been the week to pull it.
That gives 2 weeks, right? And then a wave
it gives them,
and then a dot one.
Yeah.
Okay.
A dot one with just IAE.
Yeah, just sale.
With just Invictus and whatever ships are with it, which usually that itself doesn't break it. It's usually just the extra amount of people during that time that breaks it.
Well, so my hot take is going to be the Xeno threat is going to come with .0, and the .1 is going to be IAE.
My hot take is IAE is not going to work. That's my hot take. You're not going to be able to.
Invictus.
Invictus. Whatever.
Invictus. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's not even going to work.
Same shit.
That's my hot take. You're not even going to be able to rent the ships.
I agree. I mean, I think that's totally plausible because if they haven't hardened the RL layer by that time, it's going to be rough.
Yeah.
On live. But we'll see. But I still, even with server meshing, that's going to take a while to harden as well. Once that comes in, it's not going to be a quick fix. So yeah, though that's my sentiment. No, I'm not excited, but I do believe that this is a far more enjoyable experience than
and a
what we've
necessary
had.
one. I feel like
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
necessary.
Yep.
There's things to look forward to for sure. Like, I mean, I was definitely looking forward to the cargo stuff. I'm not a cargo hauler, but the idea of being able to use a hangar as my base, that was going to be my whole gameplay. Like,
Kinda
I was
cool,
just going to pick New Babbage and then just
and your
to
session
see if
there
I
every
can just live out of
evening.
my hangar. Yeah,
Yeah.
just to see kind of what that experience would be like, because I think that's kind of cool. Like,
Yep.
but whatever, it'll happen when it happens. I appreciate the explanation that we got on Friday from Chad.
Me too.
I felt that was right on time. And I hope they continue to communicate the way they have been this year. Like, I even said that to a dev Friday. I was like, if y'all just continue to communicate like y'all have been since CitizenCon, like whatever happens this year, I'll be okay. Because I'm not expecting everything to go perfectly, and I'm not expecting everything to hit when they say it is. But as long as they just continue to be open and communicate with us on all these different channels, I'm cool. I've got other games I can play. Like, I don't need to, just bang my head on the desk waiting for Star Citizen to be a good game. Like,
exactly.
It's whatever. I don't really care.
All right, Gumbo, let you go because we're up to the 2-hour mark, and I want to try to get these last
man.
two callers in that have been waiting.
Yep.
We'll let you go,
All
man.
good.
But thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much for your call, and
we'll
talk to you soon.
Later,
man.
Have a good one, mate.
All right. Now, AnTicXz coming up.
AnTicXz, how you doing?
Hello, guys.
And if you don't mind, we'll try and keep you guys pretty short because we're hitting that 2-hour mark where we like to stop.
No,
I'll probably be pretty short.
Cool.
So, are you guys doing caller picks the topic still? Because I know last week you kind of had a little bit of you weren't sure if you wanted to do that anymore. So, is that still happening? Or
not this week? It's the Are you excited for 323?
All right, I'll go into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like as the cargo stuff has really fallen off, I just don't know if I care anymore about the patch. The quality of life stuff is really nice. I will say it. The star map, all that kind of stuff. Personally, I haven't played with it. I'm not in Wave 1 or Wave 2. I don't play the game a lot.
Oh.
I kind of just follow the development, watch the weekend reviews, watch other people's content on Star Citizen, maybe look at the clouds every once in a while in a 4K video on YouTube.
Yeah.
But as far as like the game really goes, I just don't feel with these quality of life things coming in, the soul of the game, like we want the economy driven combat, all that kind of stuff is really coming in. So am I excited for the new features? They look great. They actually look like they're up to some sort of AAA game standard. But as far as the soul of the game coming in, we're not quite there yet. Just past 323. I mean, do we know if replication layers coming in 323 or 1.1.2?
We just mentioned it with the last caller. It's still not committed yet, but we assume it's going to be in.
All right.
Like it's targeted for .0.
Yeah.
That'll be nice. Yeah. That will be nice. That's a big step towards server meshing, which I think the majority of the community does want more player interaction,
of course.
More things to fight over.
Yep.
Maybe even less things to fight over once more systems comes in. That'll be really nice to see just a little bit past 323, getting a little bit off topic, but that'll be really nice to see once we have talking about PvP sliders, but null sec systems and like full sec systems, because I think Stanton is high security, if I'm not wrong.
Like somewhere in the middle, I think.
Yeah,
somewhere
it's
in the
middle
middle
security, because it's like the UAE don't really take care of it. The CDF does, which is like a
or the company is.
It's almost like a
the Civil Defense Force.
Yeah. So
yeah, I just think in the long run, once crafting comes in and player trading, and we have more apps for player trading, I think that's when the soul of the game comes in. Also, when server meshing does eventually come in, maybe hopefully 1,000 players per system, maybe even more. We don't know yet. I think we'll get there from a tech perspective, but I think that's when the soul of the game starts coming in. I'll run a quick scenario by you guys since I want to try to keep this short. I think jump down should, once we get to that point, should always be up. But
well, it was
I think
always
you should
supposed
have
to be
to take
like turned on by like the idea was always that we would make it happen. It would always have the possibility of happening, but it would be more like security post Korea, where you go there and you things happen, and then the boss spawns, and then you have the code, and then you get the goods, right? Like that was always what, and then it just never happened.
My kind of general idea for that would be maybe you have a mission chain where you acquire the chemicals, and as an org or a group, you have to take them to Jump Town to start the process. And basically, it would always be up, but some group would start it. Then Jump Town would kind of start as a org takes the chemicals there, they start the drug process, and then instead of 100 players who know because SIG scheduled a time, maybe 1/10 of the players are now interested in going to that and trying to fight over for that. So it's just things that make it dynamic. Like, instead of, okay, we have a set time, you know, this week at 8:30 to 10:30 or whatever. I don't know exactly when they run the events, but just things that are actually emergent gameplay that Chris has been using this magical word for years. And we're getting there. We certainly are. Like, a while ago at Grimhex, I ran into these guys that were RPing as cops. The most fun I've ever had in the game, honestly. They were RPing as cops. We had some drugs on board. They chased us out of Grimhex. They fought us. They knocked one of our guys out. And they were like holding him, tell him to shut up. It was just pure fun. Then we had some guys from Shadow, like one guy from Shadow Moses come in and fight another guy, one of the top pilots from Vanguard that ended up in this interaction. It was just, I feel like the RP at the moment is creating that emergent gameplay. I know I'm way off topic, guys. I'm sorry, but it's just, it flowed. It flowed, definitely. But,
yeah, like it sounds like you will be more excited when we get more dynamic stuff, which is completely reasonable, and like another sentiment that is held by, I think, most Star Citizens. Like even if you are very excited right now, I'm sure most people will be even more excited.
I feel like at the end of the show, it's just copium time or whatever. Like I think like when we get to callers, we just need to accept that nobody will ever stick to the topic, and because it's Star Citizen, and they just start imagining and developing the game for the devs of how it's supposed to be. So I feel like we just like, I've always wanted to keep it on topic, but I don't think it's possible. So I think I'm giving up at this point and just
talk
about whatever you guys.
Star Citizens are the worst, Mike.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to 323 for a second, then I'll run a scenario by you guys, and I'll be out. So real quick, I'm a designer. I'm actually working on a space game with someone. I'm not going to shout it out. Mike knows the person I'm working on the game with. I love UI.
No.
Yes. Level cap. No. I love UI. Level? I love design. It's not. No. Okay. It's a man who runs Galog. You know who I'm talking about.
I knew who it was when you said it's not level then.
Yeah. But I love cool. UI. I love design. I love quality of life. I love all that stuff. And 323 is finally pushing those systems to the point where they are acceptable, I think. The inventory loot screen, which when Mike saw it for the first time, he freaked out. He was like, thank God. Like this thing that has been a pain for ever since 315, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, this thing that's been a pain. All right. I'll run this quick scenario by you guys. We can discuss it for a minute, then I'll be right out of here. Okay. So, kind of the future. So right now in the game, the combat drives the economy, and I think we all wish the economy drove the combat. Correct. We spoke briefly about low sec, mid sec, and high sec systems. So this scenario got running through. Let's say there's a cave in Pyro, no security system, or relatively low security because there might be gangs that do security, but it's pretty much fully lawless. Let's say there's a cave in Pyro that has a really rare resource or a gem. Let's just call it a ruby, for example. there's that one cave on that one planet that always respawns these resources. In a null-sec system, I imagine. Oh God, imagine Jesus. Okay. Orgs and people are fighting tooth and nail to pull these resources out. You have FPS guys going into the cave, clearing it out. You have guys in the air, kind of keeping the security high. You go and get these rubies. You successfully drag them out. You're fighting tooth and nail for this resource that's really, really rare, but really, really good for crafting or selling. Now, you drag those out. You successfully get them out, and you have one SCU of these really valuable gems, which I think the hand-mineable gems themselves, one SCU is a lot of them, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
You pull them out, you now have a couple options. You can sell them in the null-sec system for a little bit of, or like a good amount of money. You can transport them to like a Terra or a Stanton for a lot of money if you can get them there. You can craft them into laser weapons that say have a 10% higher efficiency and 5% higher damage. But the cool thing about crafting those type of weapons is you can't insure them. Let's say they're like S+ tier, they're made with the most valuable things. You put them on a Scorpius, that Scorpius blows up. You now lose them. Someone has to go grab them or redo that whole process over again to actually get that material back to make those really, really good weapons. Or you craft them, you sell them to another org. And I can tell you those hyper-competitive PvP orgs are going to pay a lot for laser repeaters, even just 10 of them that are like 10% better across the board because they're using this really valuable crystal. Talk about some efficiency stat or power usage stat or damage stat, optical clarity, whatever you want. But
okay, so get to the point then.
That's kind of what I'm looking at.
Is
what
that
I'm looking for.
Is that what you want out of the game? Because I don't know about you, Croncy, but obviously that sounds good to me.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. Almost that exact. It's essentially the EVE Online like player economy.
Yeah,
that's my dream.
Yeah,
it won't get that aggressive, but like still the basic idea of that. Yeah.
So wrap it up. Teodor, you go fight for a really rare resource. You sell it, you transport it, or you craft it. You sell that crafted material to another resource, or you just sell that material to another player.
To
basically.
Craft it themselves.
That's kind of
to make the decision there.
Or do the research on it for crafting, whatever that's going to look like.
If anybody doesn't like that idea, they're silly, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, I knew you guys would like that in general. I mean, we've talked about it. I know you guys have talked about it before, but
love it.
That's what I'm looking for in the game: is a full security to player, to crafting, to fighting, to economy. Back to the player, sell it, use it to try to get that resource again. If you lose it, you really feel bad because you lost something great and it means something.
Yeah.
I guess that's the whole point. I want you to feel like it meant something. Like you did it with your friends and it meant something.
Yep.
I agree. That's all I've ever wanted from this game. Ugh. A feeling of meaning.
Yeah, I think all of us. I've been here since 2012. I think you guys have too, or a lot of you have, so.
Yep. I just want to feel
I didn't have to deal with the bad times. Oh, you fools!
I mean,
you mean when they restarted the game?
You mean you're not dealing with them now?
Yeah,
it's certainly a lot better than it was now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But all right, AnTicXz, we'll let you go.
Yeah.
Thank you for your call, brother.
Sorry for not staying on topic, but that's what
it's impossible. It's clear nobody has today. Absolutely, not a single call has. All right, we'll talk to you, bro. Thank you.
Cheers,
Thank you. Good luck with the game. It actually looks awesome, guys.
Yeah.
All right, Horfald, final caller. Hello,
Horfald. How you doing?
Hello. How are you?
Oh,
very good.
Well, that's great. So, I guess I don't have a lot of time.
No,
because it went on and on, but it's okay.
What do you think about the dynamic economy, Horfeld?
Yeah.
What?
Design Star Citizen for me real quick.
Okay. So, first, no. 323, I'm on the middle ground. I was excited for cargo. Not as a cargo holder, but because of all of the implication this would have towards inventory and the gestion of goods, like player goods, your stuff and everything. And
it's a big piece of the puzzle of what the last caller was
Yeah.
talking about. Big piece of that, honestly.
It's a little sad, but I mean, like Chad said on LCL, his explanation. I mean, I prefer it to be delayed and to be in a state where it's palpable enough to have great meaning rather than just being broken and unusable.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's okay, but still a bit disappointing. Other than that, finally, great UIs that still have some little tweaks to go along for a more legibility, to be more easily read or function. But
Just
it's
less clicks.
so great.
So many less
Yeah.
clicks. So many, and that's the big thing for me. It's just I gotta press I gotta move this, I gotta do, and then I get to click and actually do the action. Not anymore.
I mean,
Love it.
to be
But
honest,
also intuitive.
Yeah.
In addition to
it could be the same map that we have in 322, but with a search button, it would be insane.
Yeah.
Like
it didn't have to
the
look as
search
good as it
system
does
is-
now. It just needed we wanted the functionality. And now we have
That's
it to some
That's
extent.
a big problem. Functionality in Star Citizen comes slowly.
It's like oil and water.
Yeah. You got to mix them quite hard to be able to have them merge. But yeah, another big item, master modes. I don't know. I will have to get really used to it and to be confronted to edge cases and more fights to really have an opinion on it.
I mean, it's still changing drastically.
Yeah.
Like was during this PTU phase. So.
Yeah, any subsequent patch, there's some changes that just tweaks
I don't think
it.
you have to get used to what we have now. I'll say that.
Yeah, no.
I think it's going to be changing a lot.
It's not really different.
Other than the literal basic system of like
it's just a
SCM
mode
mode
change.
and that
Yeah.
But to be fair, the ships just flies the same way. Maybe they're more nimble in atmosphere because like, is there control surfaces?
No.
No? Okay. Too bad.
Not yet.
But yeah.
Quite the opposite,
Actually.
when you're decoupled, you no longer fall. You just
they
float.
fixed that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the auto gravity assistance.
Yeah.
Oh, what I've liked is that in the few recent changes, maybe one patch in the PTU, they put the possibility to deactivate the precision modes when you have landing gear out, and it's so good because I don't like to be constrained by little things that I don't need. So it's great to have toggles to give players the choice.
I do not like the landing gear change. I now just put my landing gear out at the last possible second, but whatever.
And distribution center. I mean, all of the little adds-on to me, even if it's big, the DC are big, but it's a little add-on because it's not complete. There's a lack of meaningful things to do. I mean, they have extended mission, like the old UGF are just being transported, even if they don't disappear, they're being transported into this bigger location, but they like more meaningful gameplay and cargo, which is sad, to really be the biggest change we wanted. It's always a lack of gameplay. Just like the mobs, the new fauna. It's cool. It's really cool, but okay, I'm just gonna kill few, try to put some in station for funds, and that's it.
Like I want to farm them for crafting, and they have like a crafting description on them and everything.
Yeah.
So it's
but
one of those.
There's no crafting.
But there's no crafting. Yeah.
So too bad.
It's hard to get really excited.
Yeah. Also the reputation. I mean, it's cool to have a little card about the hostility system being tied to reputation, but how deep does it go? Like if I go to somewhere and I don't shoot, they're gonna be friendly. Well, good, okay. But same as if cargo was there. I mean, we need a really more in-depth reputation to have incentivize player to want to do such thing, because they're just going to try them out and stop because, okay, I have now 20 million credit. What can I do? I would like to win a little medal or a little
I will say we have
jacket.
yet to see what reputation in this patch looks like.
Yeah.
Nobody's seen it yet.
But also,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that that's a like you're bringing it as if like that's a negative to reputation. It's not a negative to reputation. That's a negative to other aspects of the game that just haven't been brought out yet. The fact that we don't have high end, not high end, like end game or like even like moderate game reasons to make money or reasons to make reputation doesn't mean reputation is bad. It means the rewards are bad.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
of
I think all of those
absence
things
of
are still
Or
good.
the game is, or whatever.
Yeah.
Reputation
because
is sitting
until
here. It's our
there's-
only hope to make the game good,
Mhm.
to be honest. It's the only progression that I can see. At this time, it's
Yeah,
the only
and-
one that I can truly see until we see what crafting looks like and how far they want to take
Yeah.
it.
When there's base building and crafting, we'll see where it
Yep.
goes. And
More
even
systems
so,
and so on.
when base building is here, they're still gonna need some new stuff. And I'm thinking about the dynamic event this time, hopefully being driven by the quanta or the player trigger instead of just a toggle on their server side. Because if things don't happen and don't change, especially when there is a drought in gameplay or features, people are just gonna get bored.
I don't
This is
agree
not a
with that
drought.
necessarily. I don't agree with that necessarily either. Is the dynamic events could just be story arcs in MMOs, which are not turned on by players.
Yeah.
So I think they chose a really shitty name. Tony Z went off and said a million things, and everybody believed what he said, and nobody should have. And now we have story arcs like Overdrive, which could be good if they actually applied some lore to it. And
Overdrive was great, and yes, it would have been
It could have
better
been
to have
better,
like to
sure.
speak to a lieutenant that just say, okay, you have to do this and there.
yeah,
And I really loved Overdrive. It was a really fun experience. Some mission was more
Are you-
lacking, but
to bring it to the topic, then, are you excited for the final part of Overdrive in 323? Is that something that's going to drive you? to
very
really play
much.
it?
But I think I'm gonna be destroyed. My excitement gonna be destroyed because it's gonna be unplayable due to the affluence of player through the free fly and the affluence of old backer that are going to come back to the game to check out the new features, which are just gonna overwhelm the server, sadly.
Perhaps, yeah.
So I'm excited, but I don't think CAG sees the requirement to allow things to happen while they have so much player coming back into the game or coming to the game.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, this year is not gonna be the year unless we have server meshing in a good enough state by the end of the year, which is still gonna be the end of the year. But yeah, that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for. I think the best on-topic caller we've had the entire show was the last one.
I try to not
I
design
appreciate
Star
it.
Citizen from the ground up.
I
even
appreciate
though I
it.
have a lot to say.
Even though
Yeah.
it's what's fun. It's why we're all here. To be
Yeah.
honest, that's what we all do. So I'll never
We
get
are all
upset at people for
dreaming.
doing it. Exactly, we're all here dreaming. But Horfald, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you too. Have a good end of the day and take care. Bye.
All
Yeah,
right, bye
cheers.
now. I keep turning around because my cat is yelling at me. She says it's time for the show to end as well.
Yep.
But yeah, we made it through all those callers. I again still learning how we should handle the podcast. I don't know what to do anymore. Croncy and I will talk about it after the show, I guess.
We were mostly on topic for most
Yeah.
of everyone's calls. I think it worked out.
For me personally, I haven't slept very well all week. I've had a really crazy week, and also didn't eat anything this morning. So I think people could see halfway through the show I was done. I was faded.
Yep.
So I apologize. Next week I'll be a little bit better, but yeah. Well,
What are you doing next week? Do you know yet?
Not yet, but I have some ideas. I'm going to talk to some. We're gonna have
Interesting.
another host on because Croncy's not going to be here, but I have some people that I think I'm debating about it. I'm struggling because I don't know what is happening yet. So like if
Yeah.
certain things happen, I think there's some some guests that might be fun. So we'll see.
Yep.
But yeah, so next week Croncy won't be here, and we'll do podcast with a guest host because I'm not doing it by myself. I'll never do this shit by myself again. And yeah, and hopefully we'll be finding out what 323 Live is actually going to feel like. Hopefully, because I mean, hey, Friday's patch was a really big improvement. If they have a whole nother week of improvements, it might not be so bad. And maybe I'm feeling a little bit more excited, but I think that's a good place to leave us because I'm about to piss my pants. So guys, thank you so much for watching today. Like, subscribe, and all that stuff on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch, hit the follow button for both me and Croncy. And if you guys want to check out Answer the Call and be a part of Answer the Call, discord.gg/SaltEMike, Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern time, something UTC. All right, so thank you so much. I'm toasted. Thank you, and don't forget
to answer the call.
Bye, everyone.